in the number 9 spot is W6SSP. And good morning, Steve. Now, Rex usually does a one and done, so let me check with him and make sure what he wants to do. So, Rex, are you one and done today? Go ahead.
Yeah, Henry, I'll do that. I got all the stuff doing on Sunday here. I finally found you guys. Ran into Mike, W7MS, and he told me what frequency you guys moved up to. So we'll just do one and done and keep everything square today. Doing okay here. Good to hear everybody. And please carry on. One of these days I'll get a little more time and we'll have a chat. This is K7W. Good morning to all the AM guys. Thank you guys for letting me check in. 73.
Okay, Rex. Real quick, what are you running? Because you got a good signal in here.
This is a very old ICOM 730. And it has a 40 watts output on AM according to the manual, so that's what we're running today, out to a dipole.
Sounds good, Rex, and check back more often now that you know where we're at. So 73, and thanks for checking in. So let's see here. So it'll go from Richard, W6AWO, to Steve, W6SSP. So, let's see here. I'm on the 32V3 and running about 115 watts or so of carrier power. And we're listening on the Raycal RA17L Mark III. And that's our connection, military, British, Royal Army. And as you can tell, I'm not in the shop. Yes, the 2 halfways in phase is now, the feed line is run over to the house and I'm upstairs. And so, but the antenna is the collinear array, at least it is a collinear array on 75 meters. So anyway, that's what we're running. And with that, let's turn it over to Chuck. Let me run the order down here again. Number 1 is Chuck, K0DWC. Number 2 is Ron, NU6F. Number 3 is Dave, W6MQI. Number 4 is Jerry, W6JRY. Number 5 is Bill, N6BCT. Number 6 is Kevin, WA6JKN. And number 7 is Richard, W6AWO, and number 8 is Steve, W6SSP. Over to Chuck, K0DWC. Go ahead.
Okay, Henry. W7YDX, K0DWC. Wow, you really sound good, Henry. That antenna's working good. It sounds really good. Your audio and everything is just really good. So, glad you got that back up and going. And good morning to the big group. Very good this morning. That's a really good turnout for first round, man. I'm proud of all you guys. And Rex, thanks for being a one and done. But like Henry said, when you get more time, please feel free to check in more often. We'd love to have you on a regular basis, if possible. And good to have Jerry back. Jerry, you've got a booming signal in here this morning. Good to hear you this morning. And Ron, Dave, Bill, Kevin, Richard, and Steve, everybody's coming in just fine. He was coming in, I thought, really good on the 106. I mean, he was down just a tad, but I mean, it wasn't a nuisance or a problem or anything. He was fine, I thought. But anyway, we're running the same rig that I ran last week, ART13, T32 microphone, R390A. Just to make sure I'm not blowing any fuses. I found the problem with it. I'm too embarrassed to say what it was, but it was pretty stupid, and it was stupid on my part, so I'll just let it go at that. So anyway, all right, guys, we'll send it back over. We'll send it over to Reno. And Ron, where is that W7MS fella at? Go ahead and take it, Ron. It's K0DWC.
Okay, good deal. Well, yeah, I'm sure Mike is in the wings. Good morning. Yeah, good signals and very little QRN. Our atmospheric conditions sound great, and yeah, good copy on all so far, and no sidewinders. And anyhow, I'm using the TDE. I'm running it into the amp, so I've got 100 watt carrier, and using 160 foot long wire, receiving on the RAL 5 1939 RCA manufacturer. And with that, I pass it over to Dave and the next rig of choice. The RAL, I had the gain way down, so you may have been a lot stronger than I thought last time, Dave. So we'll see. W6MQI and U6F.
Yeah, it's W6MQI. Sorry guys, I gotta do the Henry tweak and peak here on my tuner. Alright. Well, yeah, all signals are sounding good, and I did switch radios. I'm on the ART-13 this morning. Like I said, I started out on the 106, and well, it's nice you guys were hearing me, but I don't know, just wasn't feeling like listening to the fan and everything else that thing produces this morning, so get on the old ART-13. Never fails, never fails. So, I was going to say some W7MS. I heard somebody tune up. That might be him. Boy, after last Wednesday's upper sideband net, his poor 106 has got the same disease on upper sideband as mine. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, I don't feel bad. Maybe he'll figure it out, and I can fix mine. So anyway, yeah, up to Jerry, W6JRY, W6MQI.
Okay, Dave, W6MQI and the group W6JRY. Boy, really big signals from everybody here today. Just copying. Yeah, I don't have an S meter on this RBM4, but everybody's just really pounding in here, and no background QRM, so on like that. So everybody really sounds good up here in Forest Ranch. Got a nice sunny morning coming up here, and anyway, it's up to about 52 here in the shack here today. It's we've been having some pretty cold weather up here. Been pretty darn hard trying to get up and get going anymore, so I pushed myself out today when I seen the sun kind of coming, peeking through the window. Got moving here. Same gear here this morning, ART-13 transmitter, RBM4, and the Delta loop antenna. So I'll keep it moving, and over to Bill, who is good copy here this morning. So down there to you, Bill, N6BCT in the group, W6JRY.
Yeah, W6JRY, N6, Tango, everybody's good, and then my leader says, this is Riser, 20 MVP over last year. And anyway, also remind everybody that I always tell John, W6MIC, to listen on the SDR in the Half Moon Day to listen to the net and at least be able to participate in that way. But I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to, sometimes he doesn't get up in the morning this early, and so he misses out on that opportunity. So anyway, so that's the story here. So it's over to, let's see, the WA6AM, right? Tango.
Okay. WA6JKN, good morning. Fine copy on you, Bill. Everybody, Dave, I think you have the loudest signal so far. Yeah, that ART-13 just sounds beautiful. And what is the GRC, what was that? GRC-9? I forget. The other rig sounded fine too. Yeah, I had a beautiful copy on you. And let's see, Bob and Jerry, good signals. Henry, not bad at all this morning, by golly. Well, what's going on here? I'm still, well, I got a call on Friday that the copper band straps for the tuning rack and the KW Sugar 1 they're done. I got to go pick them up this week and get those things installed and get the KW Sugar 1 back on the air. That's a fun rig. I really love that rig. It's lots of knobs and it's working really good. I got that thing running pretty stable now. The carrier level is stable. And when you set that carrier on AM, it stays upper sideband or lower sideband. PTO doesn't drift anymore, not like it did. It drifts maybe just a tiny bit. It's just as stable as the KW1 now. And the parasitic artifact that shows up on 75 meters is gone, which is good news because you can tune up the RF L207 to maximum signal, adjust it like the manual says, and this thing's got more gain than it's ever had, all the way up to 10 meters. So I was real happy about making that discovery, getting that thing resolved.
Hi, Ron.
Let's see, the rig I'm on this morning is solid state because my ART-13, I can't get to it right now. We're still doing home improvements. Got stuff, boxes and stuff like that's in the way. And my secondary shack, my primary shack, I still have the KW1, but it's sitting on the right-hand side of the desk. I had it fired up on the AMI net Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, yeah. And let's see, what else? Not much other than the weather. The weather, I think it's going to be a nice day today. We've had our fair share of rain. I think we're hopefully done with that for a while. The ground's pretty well saturated. But 2 degrees, that's the temperature right now. 2 degrees, can you believe that? I don't even know if this is accurate. I think there's something wrong with my phone. I can't believe it's 2 degrees. Yeah, I think my iPhone is getting weather reports incorrectly because it says we're at 2 degrees. We're going to have a high of 17 degrees. That can't be right. It says New Mexico is 1 degree. El Paso 7 degrees. Arizona is 10 degrees.
Wow. Celsius.
Waco, Texas is 7 degrees. That could be possible. Burbank, Southern California is 6 degrees. Flagstaff is minus 2 degrees. Williams, Arizona is 0 degrees. Wait a minute. There's got to be something wrong here. Are we having global strange effects from the weather balloons? I'm going to reset my iPhone and see if that fixes it. So let's keep it moving here. This is Kevin and Gilroy, the garlic capital of the world. Over to I think that was BWO. I didn't get the prefix. Henry said it too fast for my ears. So if you pass on the name and the prefix, I'll correct the log here. WA6JKN.
All right, Kevin, WA6JKN. This is Whiskey 6 Alpha Whiskey Oscar. Just wonder if that iPhone is Charlie or Foxtrot, but you'll figure that out, I'm sure. Well, a gracious good morning to everyone, and a pleasure to be here. Big signals all around, all the way over signals on most. As usual, that ART-13, Dave, top of the heap. Great signal, just always the best signal from that particular one. Well, I was in contact with young Mr. Horsfall. He is still dealing, as we know, with his antenna situation over there, and has found the dreaded dry rot, which I think was reported in net a week ago. He has a strategy, that's no surprise, and the idea is to reinforce around the dry rot and lower the mast and put a new halyard, and I said, well, let me know when that's happening, so that we can make a video for the Great Events of Amateur Radio series on YouTube. He declined that, but I wish him all great success with that, and we'll hear him soon, and as soon as he gets that squared away. Steve, how's things going with that phone situation over there? Got that squared away? W6SSP, W6AWO.
Okay, Richard, good morning, everybody. I'm checking dials here as I'm talking. Everything looks okay, I think. Anyway, yeah, the phone situation did finally get cleared up. Technician showed up over 3 weeks after I called in the complaint, and didn't want to listen to my diagnosis, which was wet wires. And after he futzed around for over an hour, he came back to the front door and said, yeah, you're right. It was wet wires. So, anyway, we're back. Phone works again. Anyway, this is Steve, W6SSP, just north of Santa Rosa. And the equipment today is the transmitter is the Collins 32V1. And the receiver this week is something different, the National NC300 with matching speaker. And first time I've tried this on AM, and it's a pretty impressive receiver. Only one RF and 2 IF stages. Actually, it's a dual conversion receiver. Second IF is 80 KC, which is a little odd, but very, very nice. And you can open up the IF on this thing to where you get full AM broadcast quality stuff. It sounds really, really nice. Let's see what else here. Coyote is back. We were kind of surprised. Friday, went out to go shopping, and right next to the car, this little brown thing kind of ran away real fast, and then about 2 feet from us, turned around and looked at us, and sure enough, it's like zombie again. So must be a lot of food, a lot of rodents around here, which is glad to have them to clear those out. Anyway, let's see. Let's send it back up to the top. Henry, I think there were at least a couple other guys tuning up and trying to get in, so might want to give them a chance. WA7YBS, W6SSP.
Okay, W6SSP, WA7YBS. Okay, yeah, we heard a little bit of that activity going on, so who wants to be checking in? Be number 9. Let's get numbers right here. Okay, number 9 is open. Who'd like to check in and be number 9? Go ahead now.
Well, good morning from the other Reno, Whiskey 7, Mexico, Sierra. It's a beautiful day.
Well, there's Mike, W7MS. Is there anybody else that wants to check in? Number 10 is open. Go ahead now. Okay, Mike, go ahead and make a transmission. Turn it back to me, WA7YBS. Go ahead.
Okay, well, good morning, Joel, and thanks, Henry. I took my time so I could have my first cup of coffee, so I could be somewhat cognizant on this fine and Gus group. So, make it official, W7MS Mike in Reno. The sun's out, as opposed to yesterday for Ron and I, where it was snowing like dogs and cats, or cats and dogs, but it was snow but not rain, but modest amount of precipitation. But what the heck, it all, that portion melted. The old snowpack is still here, but the fresh snowpack went away. But this morning, running, of course, the carbon microphone, the famous RS-38, one of the rare ones that actually works to some degree. But as I did Wednesday night, and for the AMI net, this is my second voyage out with this pair of devices, and that's the Royal Canadian Air Force transmitter and receiver, to be specific, and everybody try to stay awake. The receiver is the RCA FAR-6, manufactured by RCA Victory Company Limited in 1942. Transmitter is the AT-7, manufactured by Canadian Marconi in 1943. Low-level modulation, it's screen modulated about 8 to 9 watts out of carrier to a Alpha 87 AC amplifier, about 300 watts of carrier with low-level modulation. So that's the rundown, but good signals. Good morning to one and all on frequency. Back to you, Henry, WA7YBS, W7MS.
Okay, W7MS, WA7YBS, yes. Sounds good. Very carbony. Yeah, that's our new adjective. There's carbony. And yes, we're doing the tweak and peak while talking, so okay, everything looks wonderful. Yeah, it sounds good, Mike. Very strong signal. In fact, everybody is producing quite well here into Dayton. Signals that are they're running the carrier level meter up well over 100 microamps, so that's British for S9 plus. And so anyway, good copy on everybody. It'd be hard to say who's top dog, but definitely, other than Chuck, Mike is pounding in here. And Ron is too, and so is Jerry. Those are the top dogs here in Dayton. And let's see, it was 24 degrees this morning. It's clear skies. We're in the same situation. The old snowpack that's going on 5 weeks, 6 weeks, is still around, although only in the shade. Most of the snow finally has melted, although there's an ice pack in front of the house that's shaded, and snow melt just doesn't have any effect on it at all. And that was like $11 for the what is that junk, magnesium chloride or something like that just kind of sits there and doesn't do anything. But at any rate, the snow that we had just a few days ago melted the next day, or that day. So that was good. That was normal. And so anyway, 24, probably going to be, we might get into the high 40s or maybe in the 50s even today. So anyway, that's that. Most of this week has been antenna work. I got the 2 halfways in phase modified on Tuesday, and it just didn't load up, I mean, at all. And what I had done is I had 77 feet of feed line when it was the shop antenna, and I was using that stranded 14 gauge twin lead feed line, and of course that's around 380 ohms or something like that. And of course now I'm using the 16 gauge stranded, which is a little different, 400 and something ohms, and I'm running 108 feet. Although when I started out I had 115 feet of feed line, and then I went to 112 or something, and then 108. That was as short as I could go on the feed line, and I still couldn't get it to load up. I had to take 15 feet off of the antenna on each end in order to get it to load up. What I did was I tested down around 3.6 meg, and it loaded up fine. And so I knew the antenna was too long. So I went from 270 foot with 77 feet of feed line to now it's 240 feet with 108 feet of feed line. It loads up fine. So anyway, the travails of antenna modification when it's something weird like 2 halfways in phase. It's not really weird, but I mean it is kind of. And theoretically, the 2 halfways in phase should have a little gain, maybe 1.5 dB or so. So anyway, that's the rundown of what's been going on this week. Luckily, the weather was pretty nice and was able to do the work outside without too much trouble. We'll see if there's anybody else that wants to check in and be number 10. If you do, check in now. Okay, let's do round 2 up to the top. K0, DWC, WA7, YBS.
Okay, Henry. WA7, YBS, K0, DWC. All right. Well, I'm glad you were able to get that up, Henry. It was a break in the weather. You're coming in super, super loud. Of course, I'm only, a mile and a half, 2 miles away, but still sounding really good. Good morning to Mike. I knew that W7MS guy was going to show up, and I'm glad he did. So, Mike, you're sounding really good on that Canadian station there, and that microphone sounds awesome. Really, really carbony. Really sounds good. So, a treat to hear that whole station there. That's thanks for running that today. And wanted to say hello to Tom, WA6OPE, if he's out there listening. I know he's got an antenna for listening, but Tom, if you're listening, hope you can get that antenna project done and get back on the air with us. We miss you, and look forward to having you back. So take it easy with that antenna. Don't hurt yourself or anything, and we'll be hearing you soon for sure. So anyway, yeah, hey Dave, you know what? I had tuned up the PRC 74 last Wednesday and had everything all hunky-dory, and I fell asleep. And missed it. I missed the whole damn net on Wednesday night. I was all ready to go and everything, and I never made it back into the radio room. That's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you. But anyway, I'm going to be on it this Wednesday if I got to set the stupid alarm clock. So anyway, maybe you can maybe you and Mike can enlighten me on how that net went this past Wednesday. It sounds like it went okay from what little bit I've heard from you guys. But anyway, I'm going to be on this Wednesday for sure. So projects here, well, immediate projects I'll say. I purchased a DM28 dynamotor with the filter box here, I don't know, week and a half ago, and got it. And I've got a BC348 sitting in the other room that's all the wires and everything are there. It's just like somebody took the dynamotor out of it, and they didn't butcher it, didn't hamster it, didn't do anything. Got that from Mr. T through Henry. So I'm going to go through this dynamotor and put it in that BC348 and see about maybe getting that going. It might run fine. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I got some other stuff I got to get for it. Plug in the back, that kind of stuff. So anyway, I'm going to be probably tearing the dynamotor down here this week. That'll be this week's project. Probably get it done in a day, but I don't know what day. So anyway, that's what's going on here.
waiting on breakfast. I think it's sausage this morning, but I'm not sure. So as Mike says, enough of my blather. I'm going to send it down, or send it over to Ron. Ron, you sound a lot better now, and it wasn't you, it was me. I didn't have the 398 quite tweaked the way it needed to be, so you're sounding just like you always do. NU6F in the group K0 DWC.
Okay, good deal. Wow, I just got a picture from Mike, W7MS. He was trying to send it to me on the RAL, and then he realized that the video receiver wasn't working on the RAL, so he used the phone.
That's a cool looking setup there, Mike. I can even read Royal Canadian Air Force radio receiver. Wow. Manufactured 1942. Yeah, that's a cool looking setup. And a transmitter, and I see the prominent 24 volts displayed on the front. Well, we got some cool radios on the air this morning. And any good deal on the antenna move? Yeah, I know that was, it sounds simple on paper, but the logistics, and then like you say, and then having to go ahead and change the feed line and the antenna length that much. So that was, yeah, and it's not that easy. You can't just get up on a ladder and cut off some. So, well, glad that worked out. And, you know, I was just thinking, British radios, Canadian radios, I don't have any of those. I'm going to have to go ahead and get something, a wireless set 19 or something or other. But, yep, everybody's still sounding good. Chuck, good deal on sausage in the skillet. Carla in the background, and the dynamotor project for the BC348. And you can hear the MG set still chugging along. This is week 4 with daily use, and the motor generator set is doing fine. So I'm happy not to have to tear that thing apart anymore and sweat out braking or noises or whatever. And Dave, you know, you probably were fine on the GRC 106. I realized that the RAL, for some reason, the regen detector wasn't regenning, so I had pretty much just a TRF, and I was still copying it fine. So you probably were fine on that thing. Oh well, but I know what you mean. When you doubt, you start having issues with one rig, then yeah, you start imagining problems that aren't there. As opposed to the ART-13, like you say, pretty dependable. Hit the mic and it's there. Jerry, yeah, good deal on the RBM4, the ART-13, and I know you're always combing the bands for DX, and of course it's not much for a real DXer, but I was tickled pink again this week to talk to SM4 OTI on 40CW. I've talked to him once from Flores Island and twice now from here, and so then that was with the TDE barefoot at 100 watts and the RAL. So. And then also Malaysia 9M2 SAL. So, yeah, I'm tickled pink to have the TDE and the RAL perking along. And Kevin, good deal on the KWS1 work. And you mentioned a copper strap. I guess did you order a new one, or you have a shop making up a new one? Richard? Thanks for the OPE report. Yeah, it's too bad we're not closer. So we couldn't just get a work party over there and get it up. You know, for as much help as Tom has done for the rest of us all these years, it's a shame that we're not close enough to go over and have a good old time work party and antenna raising.
And yeah, let's see, Steve, okay, on the your wet phone cable, yeah, you know, that was one of the things while I was in college, and during the summers worked for PG&A. I did a lot, anyhow, but oh, I got a note here from Mike, so I'll let it drop. Sounds like Robert up in Grants Pass is trying to get in, so I will stand by a second before a pause before we pass it up to over to Dave. W6MQI with a pause for Robert and U6F.
All right, NU6F, W6MQI. Listening to the purr of the MG running in the background there, Rod. Sounding cool. A little bit of phase distortion on your signal, but sounding good. Yeah, boy, lots to talk about here. Kevin, yep, reset that phone, but it is 2 degrees here as well. I was looking at my Celsius thermometer, and it's right on 2 degrees. Actually, it's kind of gone up a half degree, but yeah, that's a clue. Something's wrong. Let's see, Chuck. Yeah, the nut went pretty good. I actually used my GRC 106 with just the RT unit driving my Drake L7 amplifier, and for a whopping about 9 watts output with 100 milliwatts of drive. I was surprised I got that much out of it, but yeah, everybody, I was working people clear up into Washington. It's amazing what you can do with just with small amount of power. And the station up in Washington was on 106 as well. He sounded really well. He sounded good. So fortunately, I had to give the bad news to Mr. Mike on his 106 because, well, his is afflicted with the same disease as mine. So hopefully he can figure out what's wrong, and I can fix mine. But yeah, that was a bummer thing to hear on Mike. It splatter master. That's all I can say. Let's see. I saw I was on 40 meters, calling CQ on 70-48, and finally gave up. That was all with the GRC 106. And up comes K6 KPH. And gave them a couple of calls, but they didn't hear me. But boy, they were nice and strong here, Richard, in Livermore. But he made a couple of CQs, and then they split. I didn't get a chance to work them. But that was neat just to be sitting here, and all of a sudden they pop up calling CQ. That's kind of weird, but it's kind of neat. And yeah, Mike, I had no idea. I'm going to have to contact my local security at work here. I had no idea I was operating been talking about for all this time on a Russian operative. That's quite the outfit you got there. So, yeah, Mike sent me a picture of him in Rex. Mike had a Russian military outfit on, standing next to Rex KE7 MFW. So, but yeah, I got really good reports on that single sideman on Wednesday. So, Chuck, you need to show up and set your alarm. Yeah, let's see what else. Listen, I'm babbling here myself. Probably ought to pass it on, but yeah, 3 weeks without a phone there, Steve. That's a bummer. I almost got to the point where I would have lifted the handle and went in there and fixed it myself. Yeah, that's a long time. I don't really know anybody anymore that actually uses the landline. We got one here, but the only thing that comes on it is ads. We don't even use it. It just comes with the package on our TV and such. But we use cell phones for everything around here. And I can't remember the last time I actually used the landline. But anyway, enough rambling from me. Well, I was going to say, Chuck, you had mentioned you destroyed something. Dumb mistake. Well, I have a little buffer amp I was building to drive the Drake L7 from the GRC West. It's trying to boost the output to drive the amplifier a little bit more. And has a couple of TO22 transistors that need to be insulated from the heatsink. Well, I put the silicon pad down, then I screwed it down and I turned it on and poof! Instantly. I didn't have that thing running a half a second before those transistors popped. Well, I forgot to insulate the screws. So grounded the tab right to ground. So there you go, Chuck. I have a lot of those on the bench here. A lot of dumb mistakes. Anyway, that's how I learn, but destroying things. Anyway, that's enough of that. Up to Jerry. W6JRY, W6MQI.
Okay, very good. W6MQI, Dave in the group, W6JRY. Well, copied, all good. I think Robert was trying to check in there. I've heard a couple times earlier. And he was down here, but I'm pretty sure he was there. I did have some sideband stuff on, but they quit here a couple minutes ago, so maybe their net or whatever went away. Good on everybody's comments and so on. Henry, boy, been there and done that with the pruning and the antenna business, and especially if you've got phasing lines or trying to get some impedances matched and so on with some of these antennas. I remember kind of doing a lot of cutting it in and so on with the delta loops. I got a couple of different ones on 80 here, 175 and 180 meter, and they're in opposite directions. And yeah, the harder part is doing the adding back on when you've gone too far to where you want to go. It never seems like when you do all the calculations, they never seem to be just right, due to maybe ground interference or maybe trees or whatever. But anyway, it seems like you got to get in there and do the manual adding or chopping off of the ends of them. But yeah, I've got about, I don't know, 12 or so wire antennas around here, and I've been through a lot of that pruning and adding stuff. And let's see here, Steve, on your landline there. Yeah, they don't maintain this stuff anymore. You can drive down the street and look up at the cables and see where a lot of the connector boxes are, that, you know, they've left them open and they get wet. Years ago, when we depended on only copper communications like that, well, they had that stuff all under pressure and was much better maintenance on it, but they don't really care too much about doing anything with what copper's around. And we have the same problem up here. It gets wet in the winter time and start getting that scratchy, snap, pop stuff going on and so on. Anyway, I think I'm going to say 73s here and get out of here. I don't have much more from here. Operations have not been a lot here, other on HF. Have been some good HF openings, 10 and 12 meters, a few very, very good openings, and worked quite a lot of stations on 12 and 10 here, and maybe in the last couple of weeks, off and on. But that's over in that's over in Station 1, where I do have a little stove over there. But over here where I'm at, in the back of the basement, where the AM gear is, well, no heating set up here. It's kind of a little bit miserable. 73s to all. I'll be listening out, and everybody have a good day. It's going to be, I think, up close to 70 here today. I think I seen a weather guesser said 68 maybe today here. So maybe get some outside things done. So over to you, Bill, and I'll be listening out. 73s to all, and have a good rest of the Sunday here. N6BCT in the group, W6JLY.
N6BCT. Bill, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. This is Bill N6, Bravo, Bravo, Anyway, I have that family system that every time I see a question on the SDN, and then the SDN because they interference too much with JX. The favorite man. Anyway, so that's the story here. And so it's over to, let's see, W6, JJN.
Okay, Bill, solid copy once again. And I want to say thank you to Richard. Yeah, it was set on Charlie. I moved it over to Foxtrot. Everything is working again. Well, it was working before. I just didn't realize it was in Celsius. I'm trying to remember if I may have switched it working a station up in Canada, and I wanted to give them a report in Celsius, and I just forgot to switch it back over. That's kind of what I remember. So I haven't actually checked the weather since that QSO, and that was sometime last week. So there you go. And let's see, Mike, we're in a Russian outfit standing next to a Russian rig. I mean, that's really getting into the spirit of things there. I can imagine how many uniforms Andy must have with all the different radios that he has, and that would make a great Christmas card, I suppose. That's pretty interesting. Never thought of doing something like that. The only thing I remember is hearing the stories about the Cold War. With the Finns up north near Lapland taking on the Russians during battle. And two things that came out of that war. One was the Russian radios didn't work too well up there in near the North Pole. The Finnish radios worked just fine, but I don't think the Finns designed it. I think someone else did. I don't remember now. But it seems to me that they may have been German radios, if I'm not mistaken. And so anyway, yeah, the Russians, they could handle the cold weather. That's why they lost the Cold War. Yeah, that was a long time ago. They teach about that in the Finnish history books, depending upon where you live in Finland. Let's see, what else? I didn't quite understand. Well, what was the problem with the radio that you and Mike have? I think you said something about the upper sideband, Dave. I'm not sure now. I think I was hearing things, but yeah, I'd like to know what the problem or the indication was, and both radios having the same problem. All right. The question about the beryllium copper straps, belts, whatever you want to call them. Those are the copper belts that there's two of them. They're identical. One forward, one aft. It's part of the tuning rack for the KW Sugar 1, so you know it adjusts the or allows the L's to go up and down in the coils. for the RF stages for 80 meters through 10 meters. And I had made a mistake. I wanted to, I put a T connector on a VNC connector on the chassis, which is the plate which they tap five Mickey mics off the plate of the drivers. And so you could do two things with that. Well, the primary reason is to run RF over to your 7584 so you can have a calibrate, so you can calibrate your frequency and make sure your transmitter and receiver is on the same frequency. And what I did is I put a T connector there so I can add another coax and run it over to my digital display. Because once I solved the frequency drift problem in the KW Sugar 1, it was now ready for a digital display out to 3 significant figures. And so I didn't realize that BNC connector on the chassis was too close to the tuning rack, and what happened was that T shifted about 25 to 30 degrees, and when I was tuning the PTO, grabbing that 4-to-1 knob and tuning to the low frequencies on the dial, the rack came down, it hit that T connector, and it broke the strap of the mechanism. So the aft end of the tuning rack dropped. And so when it dropped, it busted the strap on the forward end. And it didn't drop all the way to where it broke the band in the front. When I was removing the old band, the broken band in the aft end of the radio, it caused the rack to drop even more, which actually snapped the... So anyway, your question was, where did I find it? Well, you can't find them anywhere. I commissioned a Collins supplier to manufacture about 300 of them, and it's quite a process. I remember going over there, they had built 8 of them as the Pathfinders. They were what they called the dimensional Pathfinders. They made them out of stainless steel. And it was a really neat process. They have this machine that they took the old straps and they made the dimensional, it's an optical dimensional machine. It's very, very sophisticated. And it replicated the dimensions and sent it over to their, I'll call it a CAD system. It's all pretty advanced. It creates a drawing with all the dimensions and so on and so forth, and it's within, super high accuracy. And from that, they sent the drawing over to a chemical etching company to make the straps, and then it gets returned to the manufacturer, and they put in the eyelets on each end of the strap. That's where the spring attaches. And so then they solder the eyelets in place, which is what Collins did. So I said, hey, replicate it, And so it looks identical. Now, my understanding is from the engineers is these straps, I don't remember all the terms now, the flex factor or whatever is greater, the strength is greater, and so on and so forth. So these straps, from a material standpoint, is supposed to be a lot stronger. So anyway, they're ready to be picked up, but I'll go over there probably Monday or Tuesday, get it picked up, and then I'll try to get everything installed next week, and have the old bucket of bolts back on the air. I love that rig. It's a lot of fun. All right, so that's the answer to that one. And let's see what else. 73 to Jerry. I think he signed out. Okay, let's keep it moving. Again, Richard, thank you very much for the Charlie Foxtrot as the possible root cause of failure, and it turned out to be the operator had made a change and forgot about it. W6AWO, WE6JKN. Okay, Kevin. W6JK on W6AWO. Yeah, the numbers were kind of, wait a minute, something sounds familiar there, but why these modern devices, they do what they want to do. At least they do around here. Forgot to mention what we're using. It'll be surprised to learn that it's the pedestrian Johnson Viking 2 H.R.O.60, the military connection, such as it is. It is the BC-1031 Charlie panoramic adapter. I can see y'all with that thing. I heard you on the single sideband net. Don't have single sideband capability here, but did listen. And the dueling 106s with you and Mike was fun to hear. And Dave, yes, the K6KPH, sorry you didn't hook up. I think you said you were on 7046, and they were listening on 7050, and probably had the bandwidth tightened up. Fixed frequency transmitting, of course, using the KPH 5 kilowatt Henry HF 5000 filters, and throttled back to 1.5 kilowatts. The antenna, let's see, would have been a double extended ZEP, open wire pump, as RCA called them, marine dipoles. But the double extended ZEPs do have some gain to them. So, yeah, the signal is usually pretty fair. And let's see, we have breakfast out, Sunday breakfast out, a big treat. I'm already anticipating. I mean, it's the standard order, of course. In fact, we don't even have to order anymore. They just bring it. So very much looking forward to that. And we have a leisurely drive through a beautiful country here in West Marin. Really blessed. Steve, over to you. W6SSP, W6AWO.
Okay, thank you, Richard. And before I forget, I sent you an email a little while ago. Take a look if you get a chance, and look forward to hearing back from you on that. And boy, everybody's sounding really good today. I'm kind of enjoying this this receiver. It's the NC300 is very, very different from the 75A1. The variable IF bandwidth is really nice. I could get used to this. And it's kind of funny, when I brought this thing into its present location, I got the usual comments from what's around is, why do you need another radio? Well, we all know the answer to that. But it got me reflecting that, 2 years ago I didn't have any radios here. But this is my Burbaker number 9. And it looks like this one will be here permanently along our levels. And not because it's that much of a better radio than anything else, but don't have any place else to put it. Quite a conundrum here. Anyway, I'm enjoying that, enjoying the map, listening to everybody's projects and things that they're working on. I'm hoping to get back on the second KWS-1 this week, now that it looks like we're getting some warmer weather. I haven't worn down since the surgery. So, because I couldn't lift anything heavy for a while there. And, Henry, talking about antennas, when I put this one up, I did something a little different. Rather than just tuning the antenna for mid frequency, what I did is I tuned the antenna for the lowest frequency, and then figured out, I used one of those MFJ antenna thingamajigs. They work really good, 259s. And I figured out what the lowest frequency I was going to use on this band and the highest frequency. And then what I did was I folded back the ends of the wire and used a clamp, just kind of wrapped the unused wire around the existing antenna. So I don't have to add wire or subtract wire anymore. It's just a matter of unwinding wire and extending it. Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense. If you want some details, send me an email, not tell me. I don't know if that'll work for you or not. Anyway, not much else from here. Noise levels are coming up as usual. So I think I'll sign, and good net, a lot of great people on this morning. And Mike, you sound fantastic with your RC setup. Very, very carbony, as others have said, and very, very good communications quality. Over to you. W7MS, W6SSP, 73 on.
Well, thank you, Steve. Taking a quick look at the free counter, but I'll drift up in frequency here. I think it's close enough for amateur radio. W6SSP, W7MS. Good signals from all. A little exception with Bill there, but it's another Sunday. But of course, good morning to Bill. And let me see here. Steve, before I forget, great on the Coyote report. You've got Wiley E. Santa Rosa. That's what I made on the notes. Failed to mention it last time. And great on the latest addition to the stable of boat anchors. The durable IF edition. That's great. And what other comments for Steve? Yeah, the old POTS line that Jerry covered. I won't go too much on this, but my neighbor next door actually had AT&T bucket truck in his backyard after the big New Year's storm. And it was just amazing to think that, yeah, somebody in the neighborhood still has a POTS line. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe they have a DSL line. But of course, if you have DSL, you have a POTS line also for an old-fashioned telephone, for the old E&M telephone business. But it was just amazing to think, yeah, that somebody still had that, and that's all okay. And the irony was the bucket truck couldn't get to where they wanted to, so they had to gaff the pole, and it must have been somewhere in the teens. And then they were back the next day in the hours of daylight to re-gaff the pole and probably find a good pair to restore service to whoever had their POTS line outage. But yeah, it's a strange world we live in, and it's a new world. It's a new age of IP protocol. But let me see other comments. Great Chuck on the dynamotor activity. I did say I'm running dynamotors on both these, on both sets, on the set, I should say. And the receiver, of course, originally was hamstered back to an AC supply, standard post-war ham modification, but it is running a dynamotor, so we're running dynamotors on both units. It's enough of that stuff. But for the Russian uniform, actually, I was manipulated by the deep plant agent, and that was Rex himself. He supplied the Russian uniform for that photo shoot, and that was on the cover of Electric Radio, I think, in 2011. You do whatever you do, whatever stunt you have to pull off to be a cover boy. But I was running a Czechoslovakian communist transceiver, so Russian uniform and a Czech manufactured Tesla transceiver, not to be confused with Elon Musk's Tesla, but Tesla's Eastern Europe. And and that's probably why I was successful, with a Russian uniform for intimidation and a Czechoslovakian transmitter receiver that actually worked. So that's my bonus points. And for Dave, maybe there's some confusion there, because when you got the splatter reports, you were splattering a few weeks ago on the 106 on Wednesday night, and that was with your new super audio hot microphone. I appreciate your comments this past Wednesday, but I saw no splatter running into a 2500 watt 30 dB dummy load, or I should say attenuator of my spectrum analyzer. What I saw and what I sent you was a pronounced phase noise and synthesizer artifacts that are 40 down from carrier, from the CW carrier, and are plus or minus about 50 kilohertz. So it is putting down a lot of crap, but that was from the RT, not from the amplifier. So that you may already be clear on that, but it's worth repeating. So we can continue this discussion maybe via text, telephone, because heck, it's GRC 106 rumble time. We're going to have a 106 rumble. But great Henry on the antenna work. I've got to do a lot of chainsaw work here with widowmakers and down trees, but it's so darn muddy out there. I really don't want to put on the mud boots because it's hellaciously wet, and probably will be for some time. But I'm itching to fire up the chainsaw. I've got the oil and gas mixed up, but man, I just don't want to go for a mud swim. No mud wrestling here unless I absolutely have to. So with that, I'll maybe hang out here for one more. I don't know if this is 7-3 round, but of course with the early start times, we'd probably burn through the hour. But with that, back to net control, and thanks, Henry. WA7YBS, W7MS.
Okay, Mike. Yeah, I was just pausing there to see if maybe Robert was there. And, okay, I didn't hear anything. And tweaking and peeking, and everything looks wonderful. Okay, let me make a call and see. I doubt I can hear him, but we'll see what happens. W7MKA, Robert, are you still around? If you are, check in. Okay, I didn't hear anything. And yeah, I have to agree, Mike. It's a little soggy around here also, and I don't know. There's so much water, or maybe it's the permafrost or something. When the snow melts, it just puddles, and we have snow melt puddles all over the place. And so, yeah, it's well, you know, it reminds me of Virginia City, but hey, this is Dayton, quite a bit lower in elevation, 4,300 feet versus 6,200 feet up there in BC. But anyway, yeah, I had my Walmart combat boots on, and so I was all prepped for the slogging around out there, and it was just, it was a lot of fun. And I was, you know, the reason I had to do that, normally, you know, I would do the same thing that Steve mentioned, would cut, you know, for the lowest frequency and use the tuner, which is what I'm doing. But, you know, you get to some points where the tuner, especially this Nye Viking piece of junk, you know, it just won't match certain things. And I had a fixed distance from where the feed line attached to the antenna, which was out at the shop, to the entrance into the upstairs house. I couldn't go any shorter than 108 feet. And so, you know, that was pretty much it. And making it longer didn't seem to help. So, at any rate, that was what had me trim the antenna. And so everything seems to be A-OK now. So let's do the 73 round, and let's see, 73 to Jerry, so Jerry's gone, and 73 to Steve. And so otherwise we'll run through the list as is. And so 73 round, everybody, K0DWC to take it, WA7YBS.
Okay, Henry, WA7YBS, K0DWC, well, I'll make it fast. I'll say my 7.3s. Mike, you sound fantastic on that set. Congratulations on that deal. I don't know if you've had that set on before. If you did, I don't remember it, but pretty impressive. And that RS-38, in all its originality, doing a great job. So, great job. Great job by everybody today. Everybody was coming in fine. Bill was the Q5 copy, not a problem. 7.3s to Jerry, Richard, and Rex. And
everybody have a good day today and a good week ahead. It's a mess out there in the horse corral. We haven't attempted that yet because it's almost, in some spots, it's almost knee-deep. So got to definitely get the tractor out for that, but we're going to wait and see if any more rain comes first. So anyway, 7-3 guys, I'll be net control next Sunday. Good net this morning. A lot of people. Proud of all you guys keeping this net going. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't have a net. So thank you again for that, and we'll send it on down the line. And Dave and Mike, hopefully I'll talk to you guys Wednesday night, and hopefully Robert will be there again too. I heard Robert 2 weeks ago on Wednesday night on that net. So NU6F in the group. This is K0DWC. 7-3s, guys.
Okay, good deal, Chuck, and 73s likewise, and you, and I can picture you and Henry out slogging around in the Dayton mud, looking up at the antennas or looking up at Charlie out in the barn. And yeah, let's see, quickly, yeah, and okay, Chuck, on the blown fuse. Well, that's what they're there for. Yeah, like Dave said, I've blown more fuses because of my clip leads or my wiring errors than component failures. So there you go. If it's working, I guess, don't fix it. But, you know, we're slaves to tweaking. And 73 Steve is already signed. I was sitting there thinking about his copper wire and his DSL, like Mike said. You know, maybe we're worried more about the Cold War people like Mike and his Russian uniform and Chinese balloons. Well, yeah, they're not going to intercept our copper cable, so I think I'm going to go with Steve. I may go ahead and see about getting a landline just in case from my super secure communications. And okay, Dave, you and Mike on the GRC 106 upper sideband modes. Yeah, it's too bad you guys are on Wednesday nights. I'm not here at the house, so I can't catch that net. Because I'd like to try the PRC 47 on the on sideband. I want to use it on CW, which is done fine. And let's see, going down the list. Also, okay, well, now I picture where those copper straps you're talking about. That really springy copper stuff. And Richard, yeah, I hope when the weather conditions get better there, the ground is solid, the pole, the antenna gets up, and I'm sure that's been a real frustration for you guys down there at the site. So hopefully there'll be good news coming from there soon. All right, let's see. With that, and Mike, on that, on the picture, I was looking at the crystals, and I said, gee, nowadays you can get your whole synthesizer, DDS synthesizer built inside the crystal. But looks cool, and it's still working. All right, guys, 73s, I'll listen out on this one. With that, over to Livermore, W6MQI and U6F.
All right, Ron.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, Richard, yeah, I was actually on 7048 that I was listening on, and so I'll make note of that there. You guys are on 7050. So with the 106, in order to work somebody on 7050, you got to set the RT to 7048, 2 kcs lower in order to be on 7050. So I was thinking you guys were on 7048, and I switched it 2 kcs down, so no wonder you didn't hear me. So that's what happened there. But next time if I hear you guys, I'll make sure I'm on the right frequency. Anyway, and Mike, yeah, looking at your pictures you sent, I still think your audio was a little on the hot side, so not quite sure how to adjust that. So I don't know. And but anyway, I'll say 73 to everybody, and I think I'll go get some breakfast. So over to see, Jerry's gone. Is I think N6 Bill's still around. I think N6BCT W6MQI.
That's the way it is. Anyway,
solid copy, Bill. And yeah, the audio on Mike's transmitter, I don't know if he's using a carbon mic or not. I suspect he probably is if it's an old vintage foreign transceiver or transmitter or whatever. Yeah, the granules, the carbon granules are probably, they need to be broken up a little bit. So wrap that microphone on the desk, not too hard. I don't know if it's phenolic or what, but you don't want to crack it or break it. But yeah, just wrap it on the desk lightly, and it'll break it up. It makes a big difference on the sound. And let's see. And of course, that's not it. And you don't want to adjust the circuitry. Just back away from the microphone. But you can't get too far away from carbon mic. They're designed that way so it doesn't pick up, you know, the big noise from, you know, the propellers and stuff like that, air noise, combat noise, and all that kind of stuff. It's a close. Carbons are designed to be close proximity. You got to really climb in the microphone sometimes. All right, that's a lot of fun. Out and taking a photo shoot like that, that's a special event there. Congratulations on pulling that. I guess that was quite a number of years ago, Mike. So yeah, I'd love to see that picture. I bet you that's a real nice one. All right, let's see. I was going to make a comment on something, but this is 73 now, so I'm going to just say 73, and everybody have a great Sunday afternoon and the start of a new week. Look for you hopefully maybe next weekend. The very best of 73. And over to you, Richard, if you're still there. W6AWO and the group WA6JKN is off and clear, 73.
Okay, Kevin, yeah, we're still here, and but getting ready to go. WA7JKN, W6AWO, 73 of the esteemed group. Great pleasure, as it always is. Looking forward to next Sunday already. So best to everyone, and see you then. Steve, over to you, W6SSP, W6AWO.
Yeah, just checking in there to make sure Steve didn't pop in. He signed already, so it's over to Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, well, thank you, Henry. I was giving it a pause also just in case, but he's probably, Steve's probably operating in another boat anchor, sneaking another boat anchor into the house. Oops, got him in trouble. He's probably being monitored by his wife, but, well, what the heck. W7MS to make it official. Well, we'll say 7.3s. Good comments. Thanks for Dave for the enhanced comment on hot audio. We'll check into that. But we'll continue on and compare notes. But what the heck? Nobody was complaining Wednesday night about me. It's only you, so there can't be a problem, right? It was just a matter of chance, propagation, and having the correct or incorrect adjacent frequency operators. But we don't want to run into those guys again from 3999. So with that, I'll say 7.3s. It's been fun. And I need to, I've got to head off to the city park because I have to, I have a drop. I have to drop, and in return I receive a big package of U.S. dollars for that information. So I have to fulfill my mission, and off we go. But I won't be in uniform. That's certainly the case. But 7.3s, it's been fun. And appreciate all the back channel. The back channel's good also. So back to you, Henry, and thanks for running the show. And hopefully we'll have a nice week from a weather forecast standpoint, so things can dry out. WA7YBS, W7MS.
Okay, Mike. W7MS, WA7YBS. Very good. Well, another net into the log books. Thanks everybody for your participation. It's appreciated. And we'll hope to hear everybody back next weekend. And with that, we'll say 73 all around. We'll close the Vintage Military Radio Net. And we'll sign off and get out of here. So everybody have a good weekend. 73 all around. WA7YBS is signed.